It's another 2018 NASCAR race prediction as we get set for the STP 500 at Martinsville on Sunday. We're getting started right now. Hi everybody, welcome back. My name's Brandon. I'm going to be your crew chief on top of the pit box today. If this is your first time stopping by and you want to get more involved with any and all things NASCAR, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell notification so you don't miss out on any additional episodes. Alright, so the STP 500 at Martinsville Speedway. Absolutely my favorite short track on the circuit. And it is shaped exactly like a paperclip. So you've got two drag strips with hairpin corners. You're going to have drivers fighting for the bottom. But we have seen in years past that there is a top groove that can get worked in. Drivers now do have the ability to pass on the high side if they have a good enough race car. But inevitably the bump and run is still the best way to get around somebody. And that is probably why this is my favorite short track, because action does happen here. It's inevitable. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at Martinsville Speedway. So if we take an overhead look, you can see how tight these turns are and just how short the straightaways themselves are. So there's a lot of wear and tear on the brakes, a lot of wear and tear on motors with high RPMs, and there are some guys that will attempt to shift down into third gear. I know that's something that over the years some guys have done, some guys haven't, so there can be the possibility of a lot of wear on transmissions here as well. Biggest story coming into this weekend has to be Chase Elliott versus Denny Hamlin round 2. Will that be a real thing that happens, or is that just something that we as NASCAR fans and the media are trumping up more than it should be? For those of you that may not be sure what I'm talking about, let's go ahead and take a look at some footage from the fall race here during the playoffs last year.
Elliott has the lead, but Hamlin looks to the inside. Elliott diving, trying to block. Down the backstretch again. Less than 3 to go. The bumper to the back of the 24. Elliott goes around. Hamlin takes the lead, and the caution comes out.
Get it going if you can. Get it.
Denny Hamlin all in the back of the 24.
Up into the wall. Remember how aggressive these drivers have been up to this point, and now the aggression even more, because there's a spot in the championship for a playoff driver.
Alright, so now that your memory's been jogged a little bit as far as the incident that took place between the two drivers, the question is, has Chase Elliott forgotten what's happened? I can guarantee you he hasn't. Has he gotten over what's happened? I think is the real question we need to ask ourselves. For a lot of us, myself included, who's a Chase Elliott fan, that race was a turning point for Chase Elliott. We seen that he's not going to set by and get pushed around. Doesn't matter who it is. And don't forget, Chase Elliott hasn't won a race yet. The kid is hungry, and at this point he deserves, if he's got a good enough car to win a race, he definitely deserves to win a race if he's got the car. So let's go ahead here, since we're talking about this being round 2. Let's take a look at our tail of the tape between Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin. Now this is a comparison over the last 4 races for both drivers. And what I want to focus in on is that laps led number for both drivers. Denny Hamlin, it wouldn't be fair to look at their lifetime numbers at the racetrack, considering Denny Hamlin has several more races and has some wins there, has lots of experience. So I felt the only fair way to really take a look at this is to look at the last 4 races, so you have a straight up comparison between the two. Laps led for Chase Elliott, that's a big deal, because when you're up front at Martinsville and you're leading, you're learning. You're learning how to deal with lap traffic, you're learning how to control the pace of the field, you're learning how to anticipate what that guy behind you is going to do. And I guarantee you that what Denny Hamlin put him through last fall was an experience, and I don't think Chase Elliott's going to let something like that happen again. And Chase needs something good to happen this weekend. Right now, with the fact that they have withdrawn their appeal of their penalty, he is down in 21st in points, which puts him below the cut line for the playoffs. And like we said last week, it's not too early to be talking about points. You need to rack up as many points as you possibly can. So there are a couple of drivers that I have my eye on that I feel need to have good runs so that they can either start building momentum or to continue building momentum from the runs they had last week. Not to sound Hendrick Motorsports heavy, but Chase Elliott, we might as well just say the entire Hendrick camp needs to continue their, good top 10, good top 15 run. This is a good racetrack for Clint Bowyer. Clint Bowyer is really starting to build some momentum, and Stewart-Haas itself is running phenomenal with the Fords in the Roush Yates power plants. If you're Casey King, I think you need to have yourself a good run. There's been a steady backslide from him in the points since Daytona. He's now sitting 29th in points. So the 95 car definitely needs to start building momentum in the right direction before we get too deep in the season and they can't recover. What tempers are going to boil over this weekend? Do we see Kyle Busch get into an incident with somebody? We already know that there's some stress for that number 18 team with not winning races. Does he hit his breaking point and possibly do something during the race that causes himself or another competitor an issue? Or does he come up short again, and does he finally have one of those infamous Kyle Busch moments within the media? Now let's talk about some concerns that I do have. So weather is a big thing at this racetrack this weekend. It typically always is when we come here in the spring. Living in the Northeast, I can tell you we are abnormally cold right now, and with the snow that's just come in, there was an interesting picture that came out this weekend of snow at Martinsville Raceway, and that could be interesting. I don't think we're going to have issues with snow, but we could have some issues come Saturday with the qualifying and the practices, with it being a 2-day show. We may have to revert on points if they're not able to get qualifying in. Remember, with a 2-day show, they're also trying to get the Camping World Truck Series in on Saturday. So 2-day shows are great as far as there's a lot of action that's packed into the schedule. However, it doesn't leave much room for error, and weather does have me a little. It'll be interesting to see how the track takes rubber and how well the tires perform being under colder temperatures than I think most of us would have expected for this weekend. Something new that I'm going to start doing with the race prediction videos that I do each week, I'm going to give you my pick for who I think is going to win the race. I'm going to do this early, and that way, you know, if I happen to be right, we have it on film. My pick for this weekend, I have to be a little bit biased and say that I really do think that this will be the weekend that Chase Elliott breaks through, finally gets his win. He's looking for retribution for what happened in the fall. I realize that the Camaro has not put up the numbers that I'm sure anybody was looking for. However, Martinsville is a Hendrick racetrack, and I think that even if aerodynamically, even if the car isn't what the Chevy teams were looking for right out of the gate, I don't think it's going to affect them as much here. So my pick, Chase Elliott, number 9. We'll see if I happen to be right. Down in the comment section, go ahead and let me know who you think is going to win the race. Go ahead and let me know what you are excited about seeing this weekend. If you're going to the race, is there anything that you're doing to prepare for the possible weather? Alright, well that's going to do it for us here at this race prediction. I hope that everybody enjoys Saturday and Sunday's action at Martinsville. I will see you when the checkered flag drops.